All right, gang, I'm still working inside text inside custom-path.psd. And in this exercise, I'm going to take this text on the path that I just created, and I'm going to adjust it down using a function known as baseline shift. So here's the idea. I was telling you that the baseline is that imaginary horizontal line upon which all of your characters rest. So with the exception of the descenders, which are the tails at the bottom of the G and the P and so on, all the other characters ride exactly along that baseline. Now, when you attach text to a path the way we have here, then the baseline now becomes the path. They are one, so the baseline is curving. Well, there's this function known as baseline shift that allows you to raise and lower any selected characters of type with respect to the baseline. So if we assign a negative baseline shift value to our current text, we'll be able to shift it down and away from the glove. And that's what I propose we do now. All right, switch to the type tool. I'd like you to go ahead and switch over to the layers panel. But first notice here in the paths panel that we have a temporary occupant of this panel, September 2026 type path, which is showing me that this is the path for this text, which is called September 2026. Just in case I want to edit this path, because the text is not linked to our original down left path. That's very important. If you were to modify the down left path in any way, shape, or form, that would not affect the text. You have to modify this temporary path outline right there. Anyway, switch back to the layers panel. There's our text. And it is active. That's all I want to make sure. Just that it's active and that we're not working inside the text entry mode, because I don't want to adjust some characters independently of others. Now, switch over to your character panel by clicking on the character icon here. And there's our value right there. It's baseline shift, as you can see. And you can modify that value if you want to. I could go ahead and scrub it up, for example, to shift that text upward away from the baseline shift, which can be useful for creating numerators and fractions, that is the top number in a fraction, or any other kind of raised numbers, ordinals, for example, which would be the ND in second or the RD in third, that kind of thing. Or you can go ahead and shift your text downward if you want to. And in my case, I've overcompensated. I'm going to go ahead and restore that value to 0 for the moment. And then I'm going to show you another way to work from the keyboard. I find this technique to be very helpful. I'll click inside the text with my type tool, and I'll press Control-A or Command-A on a Mac to select all the text. And then, so I'm not seeing the highlighted version of my type, I'll press Control-H or Command-H on the Mac. Now then, here's the keyboard shortcut. Shift-Alt-Up arrow raises the baseline shift value in 2-point increments. On the Mac, that's Shift-Option-Up arrow. Shift-Alt-Down arrow here on the PC or Shift-Option-Down arrow on the Mac lowers that baseline shift value in 2-point increments, starting from 0. I'm going to press Shift-Alt, or on the Mac, Shift-Option-Down arrow 4 times in a row, like so, in order to reduce my baseline shift value to -8, and that gives me this result right there. All right, now I'll hide my character panel. And just in case I feel like I need to nudge my text down just a little more, I'll press and hold the Control key or the Command key on the Mac, and I will drag this X down just a little bit, like so, to compensate for the new position of the text, with respect, that is, to the bottom left corner of my composition. All right, this looks good to me. I'm going to go ahead and switch away from the type tool entirely so I don't accidentally modify my highlighted text, by the way. We can't see it. But if I press Control-H, Command-H on a Mac, you can see now that this text is selected and vulnerable to modification. So I'm going to click on my rectangular marquee tool to make it active. And now let's go ahead and assign a layer effect, specifically a drop shadow to this text. And we're going to do so manually. Drop down to the FX icon, and I'll tell you exactly what settings to apply. Click on FX, choose drop shadow, and you'll see a preview of the default settings, which are pretty close to being exactly right. In fact, we do want a distance value of 5 pixels. I do want a size value of 5 pixels, so that's fine. Spread should be set to 0. Angle, definitely leave that alone. Don't even touch it, because you'll mess everything up. If you change the angle value right now, which is 120 degrees, because Use Global Light is turned on, you'll mess up every single shadow and every single emboss effect and every single other directional layer effect inside this composition. So leave that as is. We'll see what's going on there when we discuss layer effects in a future chapter. However, what I'd like you to do is change the color of the drop shadow. The blend mode is fine, set to multiply. Click on the color swatch. And I actually lifted a color from the image using the eyedropper just by clicking in one of the shadow details here. But the specific value after I got done editing it that I came up with, because these values are pretty close to being right, but I changed the hue value to 30, so I made it a little bit more orange. And then I reduced the saturation value to 50% from the color I lifted anyway, and I lowered the brightness value to 20% as well. So 30, 50, 20, respectively, for the HS and B values, and you can see that gives us a very dark brown. I'll click OK, and I'll raise the opacity value to 100%, and I achieve this drop shadow that you see down here in the lower left corner of the window. Then I'll click OK, and we are done with this layer. I'm going to click this up arrow icon next to FX in the Layers panel, just to go ahead and collapse my layer effects. And I'm going to click off of this layer, so I'm no longer seeing the path outline here. I'll click on the Pout layer, for example, which is one of the next layers that we're going to modify. And this is my final text along a path as created using a combination of a pre-drawn path outline, the Type tool, and the black arrow tool here inside Photoshop.